This is my presentation on the analysis of my journal article, which was the left turn phase, permissive, protected, or both, a quasi-experimental design in New York City. First, the problem that was being researched in this paper was about the crashes that occur at different intersections. There are a lot of different wrecks that can occur at intersections, and a few of those include a rear ending, a right angle crash, making a right turn or being hit from someone trying to pass on the right there, or an overtaking crash, and then a left turning crash. This problem addressed by the researchers was a left turn crash occurrence. Now, the purpose of this study is to determine if the phasing installations could reduce these left turn crashes. The city of New York had several crashes that had occurred, and I mean, there's crashes that happen all the time. So they were determining what's the value in doing these left turn phasing installations. There's three types of left turn phasing installations that can happen. There's a permissive, where it's just the green light and you go when it's clear. There's also a protected, where you can go left only on the green arrow. That is one of the things that the study was looking at to see if that helped to reduce the injuries in crashes. The last is the permissive protected, and this is where it's a little bit of the other two combined. The majority of the installations that occurred during this study and they researched were the permissive protected turn, where there's a green light arrow only for when you can turn left, and then a green light that follows whenever there is a clear turn, you can make that turn. The sampling method and design that they used were in four of the five boroughs in New York City, and they were looking at the main thoroughfares that installation of these new phases were occurring. They did not select where these phases were being changed. It was all the New York City Department of Transportation that did this. But as you can see on this map of the five boroughs, they didn't have any in Manhattan, but there was the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. And anywhere that you see a red star, those are the protected permissive intersections that were being changed over and installed. And then anywhere there's a green triangle, those are the protected only. And if you notice, they're all along those same areas in the cities or in the boroughs of New York. All the blue dots that you can see on the screen, those are all comparison groups. They didn't select which installations were going to happen at which intersection, but they did go around the city to find comparable comparison sites. Here is a picture of the Bronx. You can see Yankee Stadium there in the middle, and you can see the different roadways that go through. There is the gridded city and some of the freeways that kind of go through in the bottom right corner. This shows you just a sample of what they have in that borough. Here's Queens Boulevard. This picture shows several lanes. There's 6 lanes in the middle, then there's 2 lanes on either side. You see cars parked along the side. You see that it's kind of a boulevard there. There's trees planted in between. This is referred to as one of the deadliest roads in New York. Just there are so many crashes and so many fatalities that occur on this particular road in this borough. You also have Staten Island. This is a borough that, when you think of New York, this is the one that usually gets left out. You don't think about this one. A lot of trees. It's a little more hilly topography, and it has major thoroughfares that we saw on the map before with some of the samples that were taken there. But it's a little bit different than the other boroughs that you have. And the last one's Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, you can see it's a little more residential area. There are commercial and things throughout as well, but it's a little lower, but again, there's more thoroughfares that come through. And when I mean lower, there's not the high-rise buildings that we think of in Manhattan, except in part of it, but it's more wide and spread out. Now, the clarity of their argument. A lot of the research before was mixed. There was research done in Arizona, research done in Florida, where they phased out the different lights and the left turn phasing that had been there, but the effect of that was mixed. I mean, they couldn't tell, did it help, did it not help, and they wanted to look specifically for the effectiveness of the New York City installations. So that was the purpose of this study. Now, they did not select the intersections. That, like I said before, was the Department of Transportation. So that's what kind of makes part of this the quasi experimental design, because they had a treatment group and a comparison group, but they weren't able to select which one was which. They used comparable intersections, though, to determine which one would compare to the selections made by the Department of Transportation. Couple things to look at: the traffic volume. They didn't have the actual numbers, but they were able to use some research to find which were the best out there. They also tried to match demographics, and they tried to match the boroughs, comparing traffic within there, and that kind of goes in with demographics for the socioeconomic, to the racial makeup, to the number of commuters, and the number of lanes and roads. They looked at all that together to try to make a comparison there. Also, is it a truck route? Is what kind of traffic is going through that particular road? There were some potential validity issues, and they attempted to address all these during the study. So things like the installations being clustered. When we saw the map, you saw a lot of those green triangles together, and those red stars were all in one spot. If they change the lights there, people are going to be used to that because all those changes come through the same way. And then it's on those same thoroughfares, so they compared on different roads and some of the same road. So that could be potential validity issues occurring there. Protected left turn phasing can be effective, and that's part of the conclusion they determined. It's good, although it may increase other types of crashes. There's no longer left turn crashes, but there's other types of crashes that occurred, as well as increased wait times at lights. So it helps, but not without cost. Thank you.